The map function in Excel has got nothing to do with these maps. But it is one of those functions which is an absolute goal when it comes to automation in Excel. Later in this video, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of how I've used the map function in some proprietary work that I've done. But for now, let's focus on understanding the map function. I'm going to show you 3 examples. The first 2 are basics and the third one is an application of the map function. So in case you're familiar with the function, you can jump straight to the third example. Let's get started. In this first example, we will look at the basics. We need to find the stock value. We can do this easily by just multiplying the values of units and cost. But we will use the map function in this simple example to understand how it works. I will write map. The first parameter the map function expects is array, and after that you can provide more arrays or a calculation using the lambda function. The function essentially applies the calculation on the cells that are there in the arrays we provide. Since we want to multiply the units and cost, we will provide the first array as the units or B2 to B10. The second array will be the cost or C2 to C10. And now let's define the calculation using lambda. In lambda, we'll need to define 2 parameters for these 2 arrays. We'll give them the names units and cost. The parameter units will map to the array B2 to B10 and cost will map to the array C2 to C10. The calculation will be units multiplied with cost. And we get the result for all the rows. Now the map function applies this calculation to all rows from 2 to 10. Now I agree that using map is an overkill in this scenario, but this is just to explain how the function works before we get to the application. Alright, let's look at the next example, where we will work with dynamic arrays. I have used this example from my course Excel Masterclass. In that course, I used this example to introduce the concept of dynamic arrays. Today, we'll build more on that. If you would see the values in columns F, G, and H, they're all dynamic arrays. You can see that with the blue border around the formula spell. If I now add these values using the sum function, it will not get us the result we want. I will write sum F9 hash, G9 hash, and H9 hash. And the result I get is a total of the values in the 3 columns. If you're not familiar with the hash symbol, then you can see my video explaining it. The link is in the description. Now let's do this using the map function here. Map, we will provide the 3 arrays here, F9 hash, G9 hash, and H9 hash. Lambda for calculation. I will give names for parameter that will map to these ranges, cab, allowance, and tickets. And the calculation will be sum. We will use cab, allowance, and tickets here. Close the brackets for sum, lambda, and map. And we get the result. Map does the calculation for each row. We have now looked at the basics and it's time for application. But first, I will give you a sneak peek on how I have used this function extensively in creating a backend engine for a simulation on project management. As you can see, this formula utilizes the map function. Similarly, this one and many others. Thanks to the map function and the hash symbol, the entire calculation is dynamic and I don't have to change anything based on the number of teams that play the simulation. The hash symbol and map align the calculations automatically to the number of respondents. Now let's take an inspiration from this and look at an application. I have 2 tables here. The one in the gray color is a structured reference and it's called TBL stock or table stock. You can see the name here. It is a master table of the stock for different products across different stores. The one in the blue is a dynamic array output. This table contains a list of how many products were sold in different stores. And we need to find out the balance stock or the stock that is remaining. Let's write the formula. Map. We now need 3 arrays, the store name, the product name and the units sold. Since the entire data in columns F to H is a single dynamic array, we will need to extract these individual arrays. We will do that using the choose_calls function. The array is F2 hash and we want the first column to get the store name. Similarly, we will write choose_calls with the second column to get the product name. And the third column to get the units sold. With the arrays defined, we can now move on to the calculations. Lambda. Let's give name to these arrays as store, product, and sold. Now we need to get the starting stock balance, for which I will use the XLOOKUP function. I'll use the lookup value as 1 because Excel treats true as 1. And for lookup array, we will write a logical test to return either 1 or 0. The logical test will return 1 on matching the store name and product name combination of the transaction table with the master table. Open brackets. The value table stock store is equal to the value of parameter store. Bracket close. Multiplied with brackets. The value table stock product is equal to the value of parameter product. Brackets closed. Now when this expression returns 1, we will return the value of table stock. This means where we have matching store and product value, XLOOKUP will return the stock value from the table stock. And from this value we've received from the master table, we will now subtract the value of parameter sold in the transaction table. Close the brackets for lambda and map, and we get the balance value. So that's an application of the map function. Now I acknowledge that there is a level of complexity attached to this function, and it takes a few attempts to really understand and start using it comfortably. So don't be worried if you need to spend some time with this function. And if automation is of interest to you, then you can look at my course Magic Reports. In this course, I show you how to create reports in bulk or reports that you create repeatedly using simple Excel automation. Link is in the description. Thanks for watching.